no matter what dirty tricks are tried, no matter the intimidation tactics and the disinformation, over and over again, people in this country are showing up and making clear they have had enough of Trump's accountability-free administration and had enough of the spineless leaders in Congress who blindly follow him and allow him to do many of the things he continues to do. And to be clear, after last night, the Democrats have never been in a better position to win back the House of Representatives in November. And yeah, Trump would still be in the White House. He would. But control of the legislative branch of government means subpoena power. It means investigations. It means people will be in charge who are actually going to hold the president and his administration to account. And that matters now more than maybe ever before. Let me tell you what I mean. Earlier this week, the Wall Street Journal broke the news that the United Arab Emirates is asking the United States to throw them a financial lifeline, to use something called a currency swap to buoy the UAE's economy. Well, last night, Trump said he's considering it.
Is there some type of swap possible, currency swap with the UAE to help if they need it? And do you think there would be backlash because it's such a perceived to be such a wealthy country? Is that under consideration?
It is, but it's been a good country. It's been a good ally of ours.
Now, the question is, when Trump says that he might use the U.S. Treasury to prop up the UAE because, in his words, it has been such a good ally, does he mean such a good ally to the United States of America, or does he mean to Donald Trump personally? Because, 4 days before Trump was inaugurated last year, an investment firm tied to a member of the UAE's royal family paid $500 million for a 49% stake in the Trump family cryptocurrency company, World Liberty Financial. The Wall Street Journal reports that the way that investment was structured steered $187 million toward Trump family entities. Another $31 million reportedly went to entities affiliated with the family of Steve Witkoff. Yes, Steve Witkoff, that guy. One of Trump's top negotiators in the Middle East, whose family co-owns World Liberty Financial. Now, a few months after that reportedly happened, an investment firm backed by the UAE provided the Trump and Witkoff families with yet another windfall, depositing $2 billion into, you guessed it, World Liberty Financial. Now, both President Trump and Steve Witkoff say they have divested from World Liberty Financial and have not been involved with the company or any of its deals since Trump took office. And, of course, World Liberty Financial says that deals with the firm do not grant investors any access to government decision-making of any kind. But here's the thing. This is the heart of the president's family business, his sons, too, these days. This is the heart of it. According to an analysis from Forbes last year, crypto now accounts for the majority of Trump's net worth. World Liberty Financial is the Trump family's crypto company. And according to the Wall Street Journal, the UAE owns nearly 50% of it. The UAE deposited $2 billion in the company, potentially netting the Trump and Witkoff families tens of millions of dollars in interest a year, as long as the UAE doesn't withdraw that money. And now Trump is considering giving his foreign benefactor a huge, enormous financial lifeline on the taxpayer's dime. And his Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, who could actually facilitate that lifeline to the UAE, is pretending, as he does, that Trump has no conflict of interest here.
Do you dispute the fact that Sheikh Tahnoon, through his company, invested $500 million in World Liberty Financial just before the president was inaugurated? You contest that.
I'm unaware of that.
You're not aware of that?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay. That was today. Bessent claimed, the Secretary of Treasury, he had no clue about any of this. Now, the Wall Street Journal, kind of the paper of record for financial nerds like Bessent, wrote a piece laying all of this out in January. But Bessent claimed, he had no idea. 40 members of Congress even wrote Bessent himself a letter demanding answers on this exact issue 2 months ago. And yet Bessent sat in front of the U.S. Senate today and still played dumb. But as much as Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen held Bessent's feet to the fire today, and he did, that's all he could do. Because Democrats are not in the majority. But if Democrats can get the majority in the House this November, that changes. Letters like this one demanding answers about the UAE's reported stake in the Trump family's crypto business, those would no longer just be strongly worded letters. Those could become subpoenas. Rather than avoiding questions from Congress, officials from the Trump administration would have to answer Congress's questions, often under oath. And there are a lot of questions that the American public deserves answers to right now. I mean, today, Senator Chris Van Hollen tried to grill Trump's trade secretary about yet another potential corruption scandal. Back in January, the Trump administration bought a stake in a rare earth mineral company, giving the company $277 million in direct funding and another $1.3 billion in loans. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick was reportedly central to putting together the deal. And wouldn't you know it, so was Lutnick's old Wall Street firm, Cantor Fitzgerald. It was the lead placement agent for the private investor portion of the deal. Now, Lutnick himself is divested from the firm, which is currently run by his 2 adult sons. And the firm, Cantor Fitzgerald, has not commented on the deal. An official from the Commerce Department said that the deal was negotiated directly between the rare earth mineral company and the government, with no involvement from Cantor Fitzgerald. But again, this is one of the issues where Democrats in Congress have demanded answers, and there's still a lot of questions. Democrats wrote a letter to Lutnick about all of this 2 full months ago, along with a detailed list of questions. But today in the Senate, Lutnick still didn't have any answers ready for them.
Can you respond to the letter? Would you respond to the letter by the end of this month that we sent that lays out some of these questions?
I will take another look at the letter and see if we can work together to resolve your issues.
I would appreciate that, Mr. Secretary.
Okay, we'll see. Not holding my breath on that one. Right now, Democrats in Congress are fighting with their hands tied behind their backs, and they are doing a heck of a job trying. But without a majority in either house of Congress, all they can really do is ask the Trump administration to answer their questions. And just asking, clearly, that isn't working. I mean, for months now, Democrats have been demanding answers from the Treasury and the Justice Department about Trump's $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS. Late last week, Reuters reported that the Justice Department and the IRS are actually in talks to settle that lawsuit. So the Justice Department, run by Trump's former personal lawyer, Todd Blanche, is negotiating with Trump's IRS, which ultimately answers to Scott Bessent. Yeah, we already talked about that guy and his evasiveness, and Trump himself, negotiating over how many of your tax dollars they should give Trump. Democrats have been demanding answers as to what exactly is going on there for months. But today, Todd Blanche was asked about it. Actually, yesterday he was asked about it, and here's what he said.
You have the president in the White House pressing, obviously, for some personal money, and then you have him being your boss. How do you sort of, just broadly speaking, how do you sort of handle that sort of issue?
I mean, we handle, the Department of Justice handles complicated decisions involving those type of issues every day, all day, and not just this Department of Justice. Every Department of Justice handles issues like that.
Do they now? I worked in 2 White Houses with many attorney generals, who were in office, there you go. No Justice Department has never had to handle something like that. No, never. That is not an everyday issue. That is a historic, unprecedented act of corruption. And it would be great to be able to show the American people how the sausage is being made there so they can see for themselves just how gross it is. Yesterday, the Washington Post published details from the Trump administration's contract governing the fundraising they have done to make Trump's new multi-$100 million White House ballroom. You know the one. Not only has the White House declined to disclose the total amount raised and the identities of all the donors, but it has conveniently excluded itself from conflict of interest protections. The White House says that this is all just standard procedure, and framed the use of private donations as a, quote, boon for taxpayers. But with no transparency here, we have no idea if those private donors are expecting something in return. And judging from the record here, I suspect many of them might be. Again, Democrats have been demanding answers on this front for months, but a subpoena sure would be handy. What voters did last night in Virginia, leveling the playing field for the midterms, that gets Democrats closer to that goal. But given the sheer volume of scandals here, given the unbelievable amount of potentially corrupt actions happening all over the Trump administration right now, and how much work it will take to get to the bottom of all of it, I think that Democrats can and should shoot for more than just the House. Earlier this month, the Cook Political Report shifted 4 Senate races toward Democrats, the exact amounts of seats Democrats need to gain for a majority. As the New York Times chief political analyst Nate Cohn put it earlier this week, a Democratic Senate is now a real possibility. It's felt that way more and more over the last couple of weeks. And one of the seats that will be pivotal for Democrats to hold on to have a shot at that majority is Georgia Senator Jon Ossoff's. And Senator Ossoff is betting that Georgia's voters care about all of this potential corruption, too.
Never before have we seen so little effort to hide so much corruption. The Mar-a-Lago mafia has taken American corruption to spectacular new heights. But corruption in America runs a lot deeper than Donald Trump. Because how does American politics really work? It's coin operated. Money goes in, favors come out.